I set out to create the same desktop application in 3 different languages. This one is Python, this one is C#, and this one is C++. I wanted to learn how desktop applications are made and what is the best way to make them. To put each tool to the test, this is the application I decided to make. A simple timer for work. Pressing this button starts 30-minute timer, pressing this button starts 10-minute timer, and this one is to stop the timer. To take advantage that we are building a desktop application and not a website, I've added to the test the requirement to have notifications and settings that should persist upon closing and opening up the application again. To find the best way to create a desktop application, I cannot go through all the possible ways to make one. As a strategy, I decided to instead focus on the most popular programming languages and for each one to see what is the best way to make a desktop application. I've picked Python, C#, and C++. For JavaScript, the best options are Electron and Tauri, but I've personally tried those choices and I didn't have a great experience. That's why I'm searching for a better alternative. SQL is for working with databases. TypeScript is just JavaScript with types. I don't think you can make desktop applications with the shell. And for Java, I cannot remember if I have used a desktop application made with Java. So the top 3 options left are Python, C#, and C++. For Python, the best choice I could find is Qt. With Qt you have 2 options, to use widgets or declarative UI. With widgets you're just writing code. This line creates a button and this line creates a label for the button. And this is the alternative. Here we separate the code from the design. Once again we have our label and button. And there is a third option, to use their editor, Qt Creator. With this editor you can drag and drop elements and the only thing you have to worry about is the code. And now is a good time to mention that Qt is both free and paid. If you use the free version, you have to open source your code. If you don't want your code to be open source, you have to pay a license. The main reason I quickly stopped using the creator and switched back to just coding everything is that it was really difficult to create the layout I was imagining. Here's an example where I've created a layout and when I expand it, look how it doesn't cover the whole window. And the other problem, look how it's displayed here where there's space between the buttons, but when I run the application, there is no space between the buttons. So I'm creating one layout, but when I run it, I get something else. Another problem is that it was really difficult to organize all the elements. Here is an overview of all the objects, and currently I've grouped some objects in one layout and others in another layout. But I quickly want to switch them around and it was almost impossible to do it inside here. So I had to remove them and create them once more. And another reason is that it was promised that the editor will deal with the boilerplate code. But for Python, that was not the case. For example, when I wanted to connect this button with a particular function, in the tutorial, they would say to right click and I think it was go to slot. But I was getting some kind of an error and with some Googling, people stated that that functionality is for C++ because you can use Qt with C++. And for Python, you have to write it manually. And the last problem with Qt was the documentation. Some snippets from the documentation are automatically translated from C++ to Python. For C#, the best option I could find is WPF. In C#, it took me about only 2.5 hours of work to create the whole application, 2 times faster than Qt. Here you have proper drag and drop functionality of all kinds of components and you can change the layout without touching any code. Just click on the element and below you have properties and here I easily centered the label. When you run the application, there are a couple of awesome things. You have this select element functionality, which is exactly like the inspector for web development. And when you run the application, you get this live preview, so you don't have to look at the application itself. And you get hot reloading. while the application is running, you can change whatever you want, and it is updated while the application is working. It works even for the code. Here is the functionality for stopping the timer, and I'll change it. I've changed it, but I have to click this button, and after clicking the button, when I click the button, here is the new functionality without resetting the application. It's very quick and easy to make changes. Another benefit to WPF that I noticed is when I look back to my code with Python and Qt, I had a difficult time figuring out what my code does. But with WPF, it's easy to change my layout no matter how much time has passed. And the logic is separated from the design. Everything is really well organized out of the box. The only problem I faced was trying to figure out how to make notifications work. The first thing I found was this Stack Overflow post. This person's solution to notifications was a custom one with a lot of code, and the funny thing is he labels this as absolutely trivial, and this is nothing close to trivial. I continued searching and found this article where I had to install a package with right-clicking the project and manage NuGet packages, and I had to install this package. And having to persist these values in the application settings was extremely easy in WPF. For the project, I set up these two variables, and they automatically persist even if I close the application. For C++, according to the journal, the two popular options are Qt and WX widgets. We already tried Qt with Python, so I tried out WX widgets. The setup took the most amount of time. There was a lot of things I had to set up before being able to work on the project. First, I had to download the source code, then I had to compile it, which took a lot of time. This is the most popular tutorial on WX widgets, and it's a 44-minute video where the first 20 minutes is just setting up the environment. After building WX widgets, I switched back from this tutorial to the official documentation because there are differences. Maybe because this tutorial is 5 years old. For creating a project, I just had to follow these instructions, but still I got an error that a file was missing, but after changing some environment variables, it finally worked. The setup was really annoying. And another problem I faced with WX widgets is how many widgets there are. Having so many widgets is a problem because, for example, to create the layout, I needed a grid. In other frameworks, you just use a grid. But in WX widgets, there are different kinds of grids. You have a grid sizer, flex grid sizer, grid back sizer, and from trial and error, I realized that grid back sizer is what I needed. And another issue is the weird widget names. The label is called static text, and instead of a layout, they call it a sizer. And these tabs here, to find documentation about them, you have to search for a notebook. They are not tabs, they are pages in a notebook. And this input for numbers is not called something like a text box, it's called a spin controller. For you, it may not sound like a big deal, but because of little things like this final result took me about 7.5 hours of work, and it's not even finished. This settings page doesn't even work, and even though I finally found the proper grid I should use, there weren't clear instructions how to properly use it, and so to get a layout like this, these are not 3 rows. Between them are also rows. And to get this layout, I expand the space between these 3 rows. And to expand this final one so that the button is not so close to the border, and to expand it, I just placed here an empty label. I'm sure this is not the right way to do it, but it was the only way I could achieve the result I wanted. Not only that, but connecting the button with a particular function was a lot of extra work. I had to declare a table, create these enums, and here create the actual connection with event buttons that connect the particular ID with the function I've created. And when creating the button, I have to tell that it's using that ID. So much extra work for something that is so simple. And the other problem is how much detective work I had to do to figure out how to do something. For example, to figure out how to connect buttons with functions, I would go to the documentation, and the only thing close to that is events and event handling. But here I just get paragraphs and paragraphs of text that I have to go through in order to do something really simple. Much more helpful would be a simple code example for me to quickly figure out what I need to do. I learn better by creating projects, not by reading. Another weird thing is that it states the documentation is for version 3.2.7, but the stable release is 3.2.6. So if I find something in the documentation, my version may not be able to support it. Another issue is that when there is an error and I have to debug, it doesn't state something's wrong in this file on line 17. It just gives some vague instructions on what the problem is. So every time there's a problem, I have to figure out on my own where the problem is coming from. For publishing, WPF was the easiest one, and it was the only option that makes creating an installer really easy. For creating an exe, I just have to right click and go to publish. And for creating an installer, I just had to install this extension and add this project to my current solution. And this project is just this. I had to give an icon, create shortcut to the desktop and the user's programs menu, and maybe configure the properties. Then just build it and that's it. For Qt, you have a couple of options. This first option, FBS, is paid one if you want to use Qt 6 or the latest Python version. I couldn't find a way to create an installer, so I deployed by just using this command and giving my Python file. It created an exe file, but when I open it, by default it opens this CMD alongside it. Why would this CMD be the default option? And the problem was that there is no documentation that states how to remove that CMD opening alongside the exe. And with a lot of trial and error, I figured out that I had to went down here and for extra arguments, say Windows console mode disable. That's the solution to remove the CMD. For WX widgets, when you open the application, it automatically creates this exe file. Then from another computer, I simulated what the experience will be for a regular user. I downloaded each executable and ran it on my machine, and for each one I got this warning that running this app might put your PC at risk. This is separate from the frameworks I used. To solve this, I think you have to sign the executable in some way. I think you have to pay, which is separate from this video. Running the WX widgets executable gave me this error that a file is missing. So maybe I have to do some extra work to send those files alongside the exe. The Python Qt executable ran successfully. For some reason the notifications were not working, but I'm sure that I can solve it. And the WPF installer worked successfully. The only issue is this error that I must install .NET Desktop Runtime. It opens this website and automatically starts downloading, and the installation process is really simple and fast. And then the application worked successfully with notifications on.